Compare yourself to nobody but the kid in the mirror. The one who goes all in, all out, and has the crazy confidence to know that who you are today is just a piece of who you're going to become.
Something tells me the Dolphins are going to be in deep fucking shit. With those back and ankle injuries they said Tua suffered? Bullshit. Did you see the way he fell while walking last week? That's a neuro issue. That's balance. Look at the hit he took itself. The main issue isn't in the back. It's in the severe whiplash. He's favoring his head after the fact. That's not a back issue. He should have never been playing in the second half last week, and he should have never been playing in this game. After 3 days rest, after a game that beat the shit out of everyone on that field, and especially after a situation where a guy is showing neurological distress, you're more than likely to suffer head trauma after recent head trauma. Everyone knew he shouldn't have been playing, but he still got thrown out there. And he unfortunately suffered the worst case scenario. His body completely locked up in a fencing position. That's severe.
Oh, God, my God.
Everyone knew he shouldn't have been playing, but he still got thrown out there. And he...
Okay.
Unfortunately...
Oh, no. Oh, dear God, that is bad.
He suffered the worst case scenario. His body completely locked up in a fencing position. That's severe and...
Oh, fucking hell, that is bad.
Potentially permanent neuro damage. I'm both at a loss and I'm fucking livid. You can wish that he ends up okay, but you can still rip the organization and league that said it was okay for him to play. If he chooses not to play in the NFL again, I'll completely understand. Neuro issues are insanely serious. Just reinforces that player safety is the biggest pile of shit I've ever heard in my life. If it were Tua wouldn't have put on a piece of his uniform tonight. Shameful. Absolutely shameful.
And Roger Goodell, the greatest fuckover fuckboy of all fuck time, is always present to witness such great fuck-up atrocities under his watch. I mean, for the love of God, you have the balls to allow this to happen. But, you know, a year or two ago, you allowed the Dolphins to tank. And in between that time, you stood up for a useless piece of shit called Dan Snyder. I mean, I understand that you're doing what you need to do for the business, but wow. You're not worth the goddamn money, let alone the check the NFL pays you, because you're not commissioning anything. You're just there to exist, and then give Amazon Prime shitty games. I mean, it is week 4.
We want to bring...
Like, it is week 4, but this is, like, the best Amazon Prime game that they've had until that nonsense happened. But, you know, teach their own.
Challenge yourself for her.
Man, we ain't challenging shit.
ShaySt.John.net.
5 creepiest websites that no longer exist. Okay.
There's no denying that art often overlaps with the macabre and the creepy. In 1999, a video known as Strange Dolly circulated online. The video was one of several featuring an apparent former supermodel and internet personality who had allegedly been disfigured in a train accident and who had rebuilt her body from components of mannequins in place of prosthetics. She was
Whoa. I mean, I've seen Chucky, but this is... The music isn't doing it. I mean, golly. I think it's the music that's making it even more creepier, and this is like the typical music that he uses for his videos, but Jesus Christ. What the hell? Somebody was bored as fuck.
Generally shown to be confined to a wheelchair in a truly bizarre costume, wearing masks and wigs, and exhibiting a haunting manner of movement, which regularly involved wooden hands on sticks. Her odd behavior was attributed to her having been the subject of various CIA experiments. This was Shay St. John. In 2006, a YouTube channel was created to host Shay St. John's bizarre short films, which chilled viewers all over the world and encouraged speculation about the true origin of this outsider art. Whilst the original home of the material, ShaySt.John.net, and the corresponding YouTube channel have since been taken down. Excerpts from the website, as well as bootleg clips and images, still exist. The Meet Shay page of the website stated, quote, "Long story short, I am an entertainer, I am a model, I am a singer, I am a magician, I am an actor, I am so many things. I am also the world's record holder for having the most problems." Shay was personally active on message boards, forums, and blogs, where many strangers befriended her, often talking long into the night about all manner of things, but especially the arts. Disturbing, surreal, and hypnotic, the videos, as well as Shay's character, were created by Eric Fournier, a punk musician and visual artist based in Palm Springs, California. By all accounts, Fournier was a shy, troubled artist, and it has been suggested that the character of Shay functioned as a way for him to exorcise his demons without taking the spotlight. Fournier died in February 2010 from health complications driven by alcoholism, but to this day, there are those of his friends and acquaintances who deny that he was Shay, and maintain that she is still alive somewhere in hiding.
Okay.
The Red Room.
To check my room for a second.
In an interactive flash game that circulated in the early 2000s on a now-deleted GeoCities website, players followed the story of a Japanese schoolboy who was told by his friend the legend of a cursed pop-up ad. This pop-up only appeared when browsing a particular website, and it consisted of an image of a red door with the words, "Do you like?" scrawled across it. Most disturbingly, a child's voice, through the computer's speakers, read the message out. Each time the schoolboy attempted to close the pop-up, it would immediately reappear with another word added to the message, until the child's voice finished asking, "Do you like the red room?" The final iteration of the pop-up contained a list of names, one of which was the schoolboy's friend. Both boys are later found dead in their own rooms. While this may be nothing more than a scary flash animation, it is said to have inspired a real-world murder. In 2004, in Nagasaki, Japan, a girl was discovered dead in one of her classrooms. A class...
I'm sorry. What type of school allows for a room to not be checked? It was a classroom? There are so many questions that need to be asked on that, but please continue.
Classmate who'd been seen with her at the time was questioned and immediately confessed to the crime. She claimed that the victim had been cyberbullying her. The killer's identity was protected, and she was not deemed old enough to be culpable, as per Japanese law, but she was sentenced to spend several years in a mental health facility, where she was diagnosed with Asperger's syndrome. Investigations revealed that the killer, known as Girl A, had a morbid fascination with the dark side of the internet, and that she had her own website where she shared creepy and gruesome content. The website appeared to have been inspired by the Red Room pop-up, which was also found in Girl A's browser bookmarks. The incident became known as the Sasebo slashing, and the internet reacted by generating memes, even forming a fan base for Girl A. Some of those who have investigated the incident cite the Red Room animation, along with the novel Battle Royale and its film adaptation, as primary sources of inspiration for Girl A.
Number 3.
Metamimetic Magibon Project.
Okay, you lost me. What is this?
The Metamimetic Magibon Project, now largely inaccessible due to its outdated Flash player requirements, was a bizarre fan site celebrating the YouTuber Magibon, who was extremely popular in YouTube's formative years. Magibon posted short videos, generally running for under a minute, in which she would do little more than look into the camera, showing off her particularly large, unblinking eyes, and occasionally making vague references to Japanese culture. The website, Magibon.com, appears to have been created by an obsessive and potentially deranged fan of Magibon's named Frank. It featured a grainy black and white video of an individual, presumably Frank himself, wearing a gas mask, and clawing and clutching at a wall with images of Magibon projected onto it. The wall also shows a stick figure drawing of two figures holding hands. Other videos involve disfigured dolls, disturbing close-ups, and superimposed text in poetic form, some of which were taken from Shakespeare's Twelfth Night. While it seems clear at first that Frank is a manic fan and online stalker, something not uncommon in certain corners of the internet, the true creator and intent of the website remains in dispute. Initially, the public attention on the website sparked rumors that Frank and Magibon were knowingly part of a viral marketing hoax, an effort to...
One second.
An intent of the website remains in dispute. Initially...
Tiny Wiener Band dressing me up. New song and goofy video from Tiny Wiener, Barney E. Lil Alice, yeah, and The Wheeze. I forget how. Oh gosh, singular. YouTube Underground. Yeah. Damn, Daniel. I forgot about how interesting YouTube was back in the early days. Rotting Halloween pumpkin time lapse. I filmed it for 14 days rotting in my basement. Okay. 5 questions. Zip takes the survey. Okay.
The public attention on the web.
I don't know what that said. Facepunch Studios. Involving pets and animals. Swing Blade parody mixing swingers with Sling Blade. What do you mean swingers? Made in 1997, this mock movie trailer has Billy Bob Thornton's character Carl from the film Sling Blade entering the world of Vince Vaughn and Jon Favreau's Swingers. Written by Chris Cox, Matt Sloan, and Darren DeSavoin. Well, Vince Vaughn and Jon Favreau had a film together? I'll check that out. Cool beans. Jon Favreau, I love your work with Marvel Studios, by the way. You play a great Happy, but you and Kevin Feige and the Russo brothers. Oh, and Taika Waititi. Don't even get me started. We're going to have to do something about Joss Whedon. We really do, but that's a different story altogether. Am I missing anything out? Oh yeah, and I mean I would say try to get Zack Snyder, but it's cool. You got Taika Waititi, so. But Snyder's pretty decent. I'll cut him some slack. Josh Whedon.
Site sparked rumors.
Okay. I do not know the name of that one. Reading poem of the poem by Robert W. Service, January 16th, 1874 to September 11th, 1958. The irony of the date. Most people reading this poem treat it as a lightweight, fair, funny parody of a horror something. U2 and Green Day, The Saints Are Coming video. Music video. U2 and Green Day had a song? Damn. And a Welsh corgi. Aww. Of course. Cut off with the Welsh corgi.
Frank and Maggie Bond were knowingly part of a viral marketing hoax, an effort to promote a Japanese horror film. Other speculations suggest that Frank and MaggieBond.com are creations of a visual artist by the name of Danung. Time Cube.
Any job at Amazon can turn into a higher-paying career. For employees looking for security today, we offer good pay, health care on day one, and the flexibility to spend time with your family while making a living.
Before its domain expired in 2015, TimeCube was a personal website created by Otis Eugene Ray, who claimed to be the, quote, wisest man on Earth. Featuring a long stream of centered text, a few crude diagrams, and little else, the TimeCube web pages outlined Ray's theory of everything, which he called TimeCube. TimeCube claims that all modern sciences work to perpetuate lies in a worldwide conspiracy by omitting and ignoring Ray's theory, which states that each day, in fact, consists of 4 simultaneous days. In addition to sharing his nebulous theories of time and space, Ray described himself as being a, quote, godlike being with superior intelligence who has absolute evidence and proof. He seemingly despised the academic world for not taking his claims seriously. Ray employed a wide range of self-invented jargon, which was never defined.
Educated singularity brilliance. You can't think four corner days. Four Earth quadrants simultaneously rotate inside four time cube quarters to create four 24-hour days within one Earth rotation. The simple ignored math indicts you boring. Really? Okay. Demand boring educators explain cubism or allow me to come teach cube creation. No man, nation, or God equal cube symmetry of opposites. Oof, don't let the Vatican know about this. Man, they'd have a whole shit fest. I mean, they already can't get along with science to begin with. Even though they can, but they can't. Don't get me started. Mathematically impossible for a genius or any god to match my cubic wisdom. Educators fear me, they cower and run. You know, that's honestly how I wish my teachers were in high school. Just run away. You don't like me, I don't like you. Be gone, young fair maiden. I had some cool male teachers though, but the women were just.
as well as odd
Uh, Six sides constituents of Buritet. Oh, constitutes a Buritet, I'm sorry, not a cube. Teaching that a cube has six sides with no top and bottom induces an boring curse. An induces an boring and Yo, my English teacher would have completely threw your so-called smart ass out, yo. And boring. It's a boring curse. Oh my god. Gonna make my head hurt. Somebody please get me hooked on phonics.
text formatting choices, resulting in rambling and illogical
Clearly, no, I agree with you on the rambling and boring curse, Jesus. That pervades all academic institutions. Opposites create opposites. I mean, yeah. Mom and dad opposites create son and daughter opposites. I mean, if we're talking about a different dimension or a different Earth, I mean, like, opposite creators required, depicted by Earth's opposite hemispheres. Okay, singularity God impossible. Opposites D God religion. Like I said, science D God's religion. Because, once again, any religion that goes off of the precipice that one person created life and man didn't evolve from, well, primates to man cave and further on and on and on, even though we literally dig up, um, we literally dig up, fossil remains of uh, the earliest humans. I mean, I kind of see some of it, but some of this writing, I, I might need a shrink for this. Opposites create the universe. Opposites compose the earth. That's debatable on both of those blue
passages.
subject
The website also contained very
student free speech right to debate cubic creation. Boring students don't object. Cubism debunks boring scientific singularity. Cubism debunks boring religious singularity. Cubism debunks boring word God singularity. Lowercase g. Uh, Cubism debunks boring academic singularity. Planets created via opposite rotating poles. Flag depicts opposite rotating hemispheres. Okay. Planets created via opposite rotating poles on the flags depict the hemispheres. Opposite. Measure of gods, measure of gods. Creation of life occurs between two opposites. Um, yeah, you just. Okay, okay. There's a lot to dissect from that. Boring students don't object. I think every student would literally take offense to that. In all honesty, way to lose your audience. Yeah, you came for religion's head, because cubism debunks boring word God singularity, lowercase g, but down below in the pictures, for the example, you have capital G, capital O, capital D, capital S. I think that's just part of the measure. I hate when people do that. I really do. But it's a capital G, like you have lowercase g up top, but then big G with S down below. But I guess that's you explaining the opposite. Because God's is technically lowercase g, and God is typically a capital G, unless you're in a polytheistic religion. I. Oh, my head.
Various allusions to racist ideologies, as well as terminology and ideas.
You're too brilliant to know opposite creation. One day singularity dooms opposite humanity. One God singularity dooms opposite creation. Opposite creation dooms human singularity. There is no human entity, only corner cubics. Rotating life's four corners, stage metamorphosis. Four corner head has one corner face. Four face life. Okay, I'm done reading this shit.
That seemed to mock the mentally ill. So confident was he that he offered 10,000
Cubic creation through us attributes of four simultaneous 24 days, our days within a single rotation of Earth. I have $10,000 that I will wager that cubism transcends and disproves theism creation. Also, proof that humans are cubic forms that rotate on a four-corner face. I think my issue is that I'm actually trying to rationalize this to make sense.
dollars to those who could disprove his theories, but this could not be done due to the fact that Ray's theories and workings were so far removed from rational scientific frameworks.
You know, but that's the one fucking thing we can actually agree on that one.
Modern analysts have stated that the text should not be analyzed from any logical point of view, and suggest that it is simply the product of an unstable individual. Ray himself claimed.
Whoa, Tech TV? Holy shit. Did I even have that as an available network station anymore? I mean, like G4. Like, remember G4 for all the video games way back, like in the early 2000s? What happened to G4? Tech TV? Come on, man. Instead of showing me Emerald's cooking time, save that shit for Food Network or put it on Tech TV. I don't want to see that on CBS on a Sunday when I'm supposed to be watching 1 o'clock games. Screw you, CBS.
That his brilliance surpassed known knowledge to the extent that a psychiatrist diagnosed him with schizophrenia. While the TimeCube website may have expired, it has been archived, and a video of Ray speaking.
When I die and go to heaven, I'll tell Einstein and Richard Feynman and all his friends that they were wrong.
At the Georgia Institute of Technology can still be found on YouTube.
Wait.
While the TimeCube
1 second, what does this have to do with Georgia Tech again?
Website may have expired, it has been archived, and a video of Ray speaking at the Georgia Institute of Technology can still be found on YouTube.
Georgia Tech. Georgia Tech. Okay. I actually feel sorry for Georgia Tech on that because, like, seriously, you have to have a legit. You have to have at least a legit 3.2 to even get into that college. The standards might have went up a little bit more, but okay. Next.
Silk Road. I will close with an infamous website almost too notorious to mention on YouTube. The emergence of the dark web gave rise to the first prominent online black market in February 2011. Users could visit this website to buy and sell just about anything without revealing their identity by paying in cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin. The most popular items sold generally included illegal substances and weapons, but fraud, hits, and other dark services were also discussed. Founded by an individual known as the Dread Pirate Roberts, named after a character from the 1987 film The Princess Bride, the website became synonymous with organized crime. In October 2013, the website was shut down by the FBI, and then 29-year-old Dread Pirate Roberts, whose real name is Ross Ulbricht, was
So, my man's over here didn't partake in it. He just allowed it to happen under a site that he ran. Cool. I can dig it. I can dig it. Much like that 16-year-old that ended up starting up that website where that one chick sold her virginity for like 7 figures. Or is it 6 figures? And besides, I mean, hell, it's worth it. Especially if you're a nerd and you got the cash. I mean, when else are you gonna get quality pussy? Anyway, please continue, because like I don't see anything incriminating about this gentleman except that he's 29, very photogenic, has a better hairline than LeBron. Is that green or amber eyes? Yeah, he's a decent looker. Um, I mean, it's not a serial killer, is he? We just allowed serial killers to, arrange for them to kill. Let me stop rambling. I'm trying. I'm literally defending this guy for starting up a website, but I mean, it's a businessman. But please enlighten me, oh great enlightener.
arrested, tried, and sentenced to 2 life sentences without the possibility of parole and a $184 million fine. It is estimated that the website facilitated over 1.2 million transactions, totaling $183 million in just over 2.5 years of operation.
Okay.
Since its demise, numerous other dark marketplaces have sprung up, each hoping to take the place of the internet's top destination for clandestine trades and the exchange of sinister services. The fact that dark marketplaces are still so prominent speaks to the untamed nature of the internet itself. There's no doubt that such websites will persist. In the words of Wesley from The Princess Bride, I inherited the ship from the previous Dread Pirate Roberts, just as you will inherit it from me. Thank you for watching.
I'm so lost. So the FBI seized and back mm, and back traced his IP address to go and arrest him for the mere fact that he had a website that allowed illegal behavior on it. Okay, and in between that time, did the feds arrest any of the people that actually arranged the hits, did the hits, transported or sold the drugs? No, no, they did not. Or they probably did get a couple, but you can clearly see how many transactions went through. So I'm just a bit lost. Hello, feds. Please, if I want another Roger Goodell, I can ask Roger Goodell to go ahead and defense Dan Snyder in front of you guys again, and you still will get nowhere because nowhere is literally where you people live, apparently. Don't get me started on 9/11. All the threats and shit that y'all had for that. Oh, and January 6th. All of the red flags, and you can't red flag shit, but you can do this within 2 years. You guys need to get your heads out of your asses. Real talk. I've never seen so much fucking incompetence in my life. No, 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 my bad.
Starting off this countdown, we have the helicopter.
Was definitely incompetence. LAPD was crooked as fuck. They were as crooked as Rodney King during '97. Oh yeah, that's exactly how y'all botched the OJ trial, by the way. Great job. No, let's go ahead.
Challenge yourself for her. Challenge.
Curses are not to be fooled around with. The solemn utterance intended to invoke a supernatural power to inflict harm or punishment on someone or something. Pretty well sums up what we're going to be talking about here. Here's the top 5 ancient curses you should pray you never get. Number 5, Mirror, Mirror. Starting off this list, we arrive at somewhat of a tame curse. I mean, not tame, because I've hit nothing but red lights for the past month since I broke mine. We've all broken a mirror or two, haven't we? Little hand mirror here or there. Apparently breaking some melted liquid sand can get you in some pretty hot water. Almost everybody has heard of breaking mirrors. Pretty well dooms you to at least 7 years and of bad luck. We've all done it. It happens. Well, apparently it's an old curse. This one's origins begin in ancient Rome. The Romans believed that the human soul would renew every 7 years, repairing whatever damage they had suffered during that time. They also thought that a mirror's reflection was a way to look inside said soul. So what they thought was,
That's deep.
if you break a mirror, you break a little bit of your soul as well, which would then again have to go through this 7-year cycle to renew and cleanse that bad aura right out of you. Yeah, do this for 7 years as your soul is reborn. You endure misfortune because of your imperfect, now shattered soul. Sounds like a bad breakup. Mirrors were not cheap either back then, and they were pretty low quality and easily breakable. In order to avoid negligence to the owners, it was also known that breaking a mirror and the whole 7 years of bad luck thing was also a simple scare tactic. I'm not making any more mirrors. You know how much work that is? Like, if you break it, you buy it, pal, and 7 years of bad luck, too. I don't know, it's hard. These take a long time to make. Next time, just watch your hands, please. Number 4, St. Anne's Well. As always, if you like what we do here,
I'll be damned if that's actually realistic.
Top 5 Scary, hit us up with a like. A little spot my family likes to call home. Liverpool, England, and also one of the newest reasons that I'm never revisiting again. In 2016, archaeologists uncovered an ancient well near Liverpool that dates to the medieval era. Archaeologists say that they rediscovered a large sandstone well on a private farm in Liverpool. When archaeologists arrived at the site, there was barely anything of a well, as it had become completely filled with earth for hundreds of years. The cult of St. Anne was once a widespread medieval following. The mother of the Virgin Mary, Anne, is often associated with great and powerful healing wells. Anne supposedly bathed in the well, which was known for treating skin and eye diseases. Like OG LASIK, you know, just hop right on in, cataracts gone in a flash. Apparently for centuries, a priory of 12 monks tended to the well mid-16th century, and there was a huge competition and demand for this hot spring. The priory's father and his neighbor both claimed ownership. He's being snide, isn't he? He's being a snide one. Classic case of Darcy versus Delwaney. 2 days later, King Henry VIII shows up, and after all the talk with his men, they seized the well and both dudes lost out. Scouse his luck, mates, go on, scouse his luck. Apparently lore goes, Delwaney cursed Darcy, and according to legend, Delwaney then dropped dead on the spot. Talk about karma, dude. Within 3 months, Darcy's son had passed away from unknown illnesses as well as Darcy losing his job. And a year later, Darcy was found at the bottom of said well. Despite the grim legend, the well continued to be used even after the lore had become widespread. It actually made it more popular. It was purposely buried, but then recently discovered, restored, and reinforced. I only do the wishing wells. You know, those are the only wells that I do. They're the nice kind. Number 3, the Knights Templar. Everybody knows about the superstition about the number 13. Supposedly unlucky. Dude, I lived on the 14th floor for like 3 years. Lights always flickered, always. Just saying. We're also familiar with the Friday the 13th being unlucky and not just a banger of a Halloween movie. But not a lot of people know where this 13 thing actually originates from. In the early 14th century, King Philip of France was at war with the English. There was this really rich group called the Knights Templar, and after...
By the way, it's King Philippe. It's not King Philip, that's the British pronunciation. It's French. It's Francois. King Philippe. Like Jean. Jean Philippe. Or like Elizabeth Jean. Wow. It's a very interesting name. Now that I think about it. Continue.
Funding King Philip's side of the war, he didn't really have any intention on paying them back. Yeah, you see, the Knights Templar had become a powerful organization in Europe. The most powerful. During the Crusades, King Philip needed supplies and revisions. Never intending to pay them back, of course, Philip doubled down, conspiring with Pope Clement V, who, on Friday, October 13th, 1307, led an ambush, seize, mass arrest of the Knights' leader Jacques de Molay and all of his men. They were all charged and imprisoned. He was tortured, imprisoned, and
so it was 1307. How do you get that out of October?
and led an ambush, seize, mass arrest of the Knights' leader Jacques de Molay and all of his men. The most powerful. During the Crusades, King Philip needed supplies and revisions. Never intending to pay them back, of course, Philip doubled down, conspiring with Pope Clement V, who, on Friday, October 13th, 1307, led an ambush, seize, mass arrest of the Knights' leader Jacques de Molay and all of his men. They were all charged and imprisoned. He was tortured, imprisoned, and burned at the stake. However, before dying, Jacques de Molay cursed both enemies, claiming that both Clement and Philip would be dead within the year and that their names would be forgotten. Clement succumbed to a fatal disease. Philip died of a stroke, like right after each other. By 1328, all of Philip's sons and grandsons had perished from rapid illness, and the curse had sprung true. Yeah, I wouldn't cross the Navy SEALs of the medieval times. Probably not a good idea. Now I got flickering lights because you two backstabbed a cult army for doing something nice for you? Shame on you. Number 2, the Pella Tablet. In 1986, archaeologists unearthed a cursed tablet during excavations of the ancient Macedonian capital of Pella.
With Choice Hotels, there's always a reason to book it. Whatever.
Archaeologists uncovered 1,600 Greek cursed tablets since then. However, the Pella tablet is still by far the oldest, and apparently the most cursed. Created somewhere between 400 and 350 BC.
Albania and Bulgaria. Macedonia. Sweet. Tikfash Lake. Very sweet. I'm sorry, continue.
The Pella tablet is a letter to the gods asking them for help to curse a woman who stole her man's heart. And not like a sappy mixtape or anything. This curse is inscribed on lead scroll. It's metal paper. The writer, one who calls herself Degina, calls upon divine powers from the gods to solve her problem. Her beloved,
Degina. Okay. I'll let that fly. I'll just let it fly. I'll let it fly.
Dionysophon, is on the verge of marriage to another woman. Degina wants him to herself, of course, and then asks the gods for some help. The language on the stone is so old that it actually predates the modern and ancient Macedonian language. These cursed tablets, or spell scrolls, were called katatismoi, or deficciones, and it was widely believed that they would continue to work and curse as long as the text and tablet existed. Basically, as long as there's batteries in there, it's gonna keep on cursing. James L. O'Neill from the University of Sydney interprets the translation of the ancient text as, quote, "Forbid by writing the ceremony and the marriage of Dionysophon and Thetima, and all other women, and widows and virgins, but especially Thetima. And I assign them to Macron and the Daemones. And whenever I shall unroll and read this again after digging it up, then Dionysophon may marry. But not before. May he not take any wife but me, and may I and no other woman grow old with Dionysophon. I am your suppliant. Pity me, dear Daemonis, for I am weak and bereft of all friends. But protect me so this does not happen and evil Thetima will perish evilly. But may I be fortunate and blessed." Whoa, for never was a story more woe than this of Thetima and her Dionysophon. I think It sounds better than Romeo and Juliet. What do you think? I mean, that's not very nice to wish there, Dagina. Kind of mean if you ask me, and very jealous. Also, Fatima, girl, you gotta split. This girl's out here looking for you. You're gonna catch some hands for talking to someone else's man. I'm just saying, you've been warned. Number 1.
That was more than a warning. That was...
The Bjorktorp Runestone. Of course, the number 1 spot, Bjorktorp Runestone. I had to. I just did my ancestry and apparently I'm 12% Viking. Yeah, I just send my spit somewhere and they told me that. This specific cursed runestone is one of the many megalithic standing stones located in Sweden. This one actually is one of the world's tallest as well, measuring 4.5 meters high. It's part of a stone circle with 2 other blank standing stones. Scholars date the runestone's inscription to the 7th century AD. It's carved with a type of rune that form an intermediate version between the elder Futhark and the younger Futhark. The runestone is inscribed on both sides. The short message reads, "I foresee perdition," and the longer side translates to, "I, master of the runes, conceal here runes of power, incessantly plagued by maleficence doomed to insidious death. Is he who breaks this monument. I prophesy destruction." A little aggressive, bro, but I mean, they were Vikings, so aggression was kind of their thing. Local lore says that the curse came true at one point. Long ago, a man wanted to move the runestone so that he could have more room to farm, so he piled wood around it in an attempt to heat the stone and then crack it with water. As soon as he lit the fire, the man's hair lit aflame. His clothes were soon engulfed and the man perished right there next to the ruin. Yo, I would just avoid these at all costs. Like, no point should you ever be trying to move an ancient Viking cursed megalith. Again, unless you're Kratos helping Loki climb a mountain. Hey, we hope you enjoyed that video. I've been Kyle McWaters. You've been creeped out. As always, stay spooky, everybody.
Fair enough.
First, there's an idea, and you do something about it for the first time. Then, before you know it, you make your first sale. Small business first never stop coming. And you have a partner that always puts you first.
No way.
GoDaddy, tools and support for every small business first.
No.
In order to have established himself as a seer worth paying attention to for 6 centuries, Nostradamus has to have been getting some of his many predictions, right? Well, here's top 5 dark events Nostradamus tried to warn us all about.
1 second, Evan Peters. Why did you dye your hair like this?
Number 5. The Great Fire of London. The Great Fire of London was caused in 1666 after a bakery caught flame and spread rapidly throughout the city, engulfing the city in a storm of flame that lasted for a 3-day blaze, consuming just about everything in its path. The bakery was owned by Thomas Fariner, who went on record saying he was very, very, very sorry. It was the kind of freak accident that no one could have possibly seen coming, except, of course, if you were renowned predictor and possible psychic Michel de Nostradame, who had this eerie prediction written down. Listen to this little quatrain. "The blood of the just will commit a fault at London. Burnt through lightning of 23's the 6th, the ancient lady will fall from her high place. Several of the same sect will be killed." We really need to look into getting like an in-channel researcher and translator for Nostradamus, because instead of that, you just got me, a guy who passed high school English with a 51%, but I will do my level best for you. We can interpret 23's the 6th as an equation, reading 20 times 3 plus 6, which would give us 66. The Great Fire, of course, started in 1666 and burned for 3 days straight. Seems a little too convenient to just be a coincidence, right? Now the next question though, what is the Ancient Lady? The spirit of London itself? A way too early prediction about Queen Elizabeth? It's also a little bit off the mark with the quote about lightning, since it wasn't a lightning strike that started the Great Fire, but rather a bakery fire, unless you consider that Thomas Fariner's idea to open a bakery was a lightning in a bottle idea, but I'm gonna be honest, that's enough of a stretch, it's making my shoulders hurt. Now I'd like to try a little prediction of my own. I don't quite have the gift, but I've got a knack for this sort of thing. I'm having a vision. I see that the best scary content on the web is that top 5 scary videos, and if you like it, you should subscribe? I don't know what it means though. Number 4, the atomic bomb. Could Nostradamus have predicted humanity's darkest invention? Very possible. A quatrain seemingly references, impossibly, the bombings of the Japanese cities of Hiroshima and Nagasaki at the end of World War II. In his quatrain, Nostradamus wrote, "Within 2 cities, there will be scourges the likes of which has never seen. famine within plague, people put out by steel, crying to the great immortal God for relief. Hey, Nostradamus really was a cheery fella, wasn't he? Now, I like to think of myself as a bit of a skeptic. I took the online test and it said I'm 70% Scully and 30% Mulder. But even I've got to admit this one lines up pretty eerily. The two cities could very easily be referring to the two cities of Hiroshima and Nagasaki. The scourges the likes of which is never seen, being about atomic weapons as a whole, the controversial nature of which goes without any further explanation. I mean, you can find about 1,000 quotes from just about everybody involved with the Manhattan Project, expressing their deep regret for what they did. The famine and plague could be referencing the radiation sickness and numerous other issues that arose following the immediate aftermath. As well, the line, people put out by steel, could be an allusion to the man-made nature of the desolation, that it was constructed by man and delivered through an airplane and a concentrated team effort rather than any natural causes. It's worth bringing up that Nostradamus did have a personal first-hand experience treating plague victims, which does raise the possibility, of course, that he could be referring far more literally to two cities ravaged by literal plague, but it does beg just a little speculation as to why it lines up so well. Number 3. JFK. John F. Kennedy Jr. is probably one of the most famous and tragic presidents in American history, whose term was infamously cut short by an assassin. The ancient task will be completed from on high. Evil will fall on the great man. A dead innocent will be accused of the deed. The guilty on will remain in the mist.
Son of a bitch. Yo, even he knows that JFK was a whole conspiracy theory. Come on. What is the feds good for?
Okay, there is a lot to uncover and unpack here. Firstly, a dead innocent will be accused of the deed. Now, the official story is that Lee Harvey Oswald was the assassin of JFK, although 2 days after his arrest, he was fatally shot. He insisted that he was just a patsy to cover up the conspiracy, and despite the official evidence pointing towards Oswald as the culprit, public opinion polls in recent years have shown that the majority of Americans do not believe the official story and suspect that Oswald was a false flag. Although we could be talking for absolutely hours if we go on about that tangent. Do some reading on this one at home. This is my favorite conspiracy theory of all time, and once you start reading about it, it is going to be all you are doing for the next week. There is so much to uncover, we could not possibly do it in 10 minutes. Continuing on the prophecy, the ancient task will be completed from on high. Evil will fall on the great man. In a very literal sense, this could be referring to the fact that JFK was shot from an elevated position, but there is also a widely recognized conspiracy theory that JFK was ordered to be assassinated by his own government, which could possibly be referring to from on high. If Lee Harvey Oswald really was a cover story, like he claims and conspiracists claim, then that would mean that the guilty on will remain in the mist, possibly referring to the mystery that's lingered on about the event as a whole for 60 years. It's very likely we will never uncover the real story or the truth behind what happened that day. Maybe Nostradamus knew, but he's not telling us much these days. Doesn't pick up his phone that often, doesn't answer my calls. Number 2, King Henry II. King Henry II was, well, you can probably guess. He was the King of France for a bit. He was the King of France from 1547 until his reign was tragically cut short bitterly in 1559. A tragedy that had befallen the people of France as he was slain in an accident during a tourney. Who could have predicted it, of course, except, oh, you know how this bit goes by now. Let's all say it on 3. 1, 2, 3. Nostradamus. Of course he did. It's the title of the video. Alright, let's hear what the quatrain said. The young lion will overcome the older one. He will pierce his eyes through a golden cage. The 2 wounds will ensure a cruel death on the field of combat in a single battle. I like that, like all of Nostradamus' prophecies sounds like something that a wizard would tell you in a cave before giving you a sacred sword and telling you to embark on a quest to save the kingdom. Anyway, let's put on our little interpreting cap. King Henry was accidentally mortally injured when during a joust, splinters from the broken lance of his opponent, Gabriel de Lorge, was lodged inside King Henry's eye. From there, the king developed brain damage and sepsis and would pass from his injury a few days later. Definitely sounds like the cruel death that Nostradamus had predicted in his little prophecy there. Now, it wasn't quite the field of combat though, instead occurring during what was supposed to be a game. What can I say? They just played harder than we do. It's all fun and games until someone loses an eye and then France no longer has a king and you have to retreat to your estate in Normandy in disgrace and live out the rest of your days as an exile. Did everybody else's mom always tell them that as a kid whenever they would go out to play? Nostradamus and King Henry II were actually personal friends, making this prediction just a little bit more tragic than usual. Nostradamus had referred to him as the invincible King Henry II, which is a bit ironic, sadly, since it turned out he was very vincible. Number 1. The French Revolution. Now, depending on where you lived in 17th century France, maybe you didn't think the French Revolution was actually that dark a thing. Maybe you thought it was great, actually. I did hear at one point there was some cake being passed around to everybody. Wouldn't know. Wasn't there. But I can tell you that Nostradamus did seem to predict the revolution almost exactly. Why don't you take yourself a little ear gander at this? From the enslaved people, songs, chants, and demands, the princes and lords are held captive in prisons. In the future, by such headless idiots, these will be taken as divine utterances. Before the war comes, the Great Wall will fall, the king will be executed, his death coming too soon will be lamented. The guards will swim in the blood. Near the river Seine, the soil will be bloodied. Hey, this one I almost don't even need that translator for. I feel like I can actually kind of understand this one, straight up. It sounds fairly plain and simple, and really just sounds like someone describing the French Revolution. The Great Wall falling could be referring to the storming of the Bastille prison, which was located near the Seine River, and was a site of criminal execution. This is where the guillotine was, and the beginning of the revolution. Could the guillotine be referring to literal headless idiots? The king will be executed? Well, that definitely happened. The only difference in Nostradamus' prediction is that he said it would be lamented. And while I'm sure the king's royal family was very upset, the people of France at the time seemed pretty excited to see him go. The soil being bloodied could be a dramatization or a metaphoric way of speaking to all the violence conducted in the name of the French Revolution. I've got to say, it's pretty strange how well Nostradamus was able to predict the French Revolution and as well the passing of King Henry II, but maybe he's got a home turf advantage for this sort of thing. You can just really focus in that hyperactive lens on anything involving France. Well, that's all for this video, my precious little ghouls and goblins. If you want to see the best scary videos on the web, you know where to go. Take it easy.
In this. Oh boy. You all take it easy. But, well, Nostradamus did try to warn us. Go figure. Deuces, peace, love.